Studio Trigger returns with another brand new original anime series. It's about a boy and a girl and a massive robot. While it doesn't sound all that original, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. This is my review of Studio Trigger's Darling in the Franxx. The fact that Studio Trigger is actually making this anime series is the only reason that I'm even paying attention to it. They have a really good pedigree when it comes to high-quality anime series. I absolutely loved Kill La Kill, which was insane, over the top, and sexy all at the same time. And also really loved their super adorable fantasy adventure Little Witch Academia, which has some of the most beautiful scenes that I've seen in an anime, period. But now we have another return to form. We're going back to the mecha genre in Darling in the Franxx, which is a very strange title to say the least, and that's Franxx with 2 X's, because anime reasons. So, what exactly is this series about? Well, at first, to be perfectly honest, it was really confusing. I did not know what was going on, but to my knowledge, Darling in the Franxx is this series which is set in this fictional world, which may or may not be in space, which may or may not be on a space station, which may or may not be actually a planet inhabited by giant metallic robot dinosaur creatures called klaxosaurs. It's this type of ridiculous mecha sci-fi anime jargon that can really turn people off a lot in the series. But I implore you to not pay attention to all of the ridiculous jargon in the series, as basically this entire show is about pairs of people who come together, fight in a robot against giant monsters. It's really simple. In fact, the main character himself, who goes by the name of Hiro, teams up with the main female of the series, who looks like she's going to be sort of like the mascot of the entire show. Her name is 002, or just 02. And when these two come together, they can pilot this massive and insane robot, which has the ability to transform and fight against giant monsters. That's basically it. And they even go as far as to label both of these 2 pilots of these robots as both a pistil and a stamen. These are 2 things which are basically the male and female reproductive parts of a flower. So it's a little ridiculous in terms of the reference that they're actually throwing at you. But again, like I said, it's just 2 people in a robot fighting against monsters. That's really all you need to know. But this episode right here is basically a formal introduction to the world, which is pretty nice looking. It's very clean. I'm not really sure what to make of it quite yet. It seems kind of like this weird mix of every single type of anime and mecha genre that I've ever seen that's just been thrown into a blender and turned up on high, and they just sort of like pour it out all over the table. It doesn't really seem like it has that much of an identity quite yet. I just need to see more of it, to be perfectly honest. But this episode really is focusing on the 2 main characters of the series. There's Hiro, who's going to be our male protagonist, who is basically the typical hero who doesn't know that he's a hero yet. He's completely unsure of himself, he has no confidence. His former teammate, who is going to be in a giant robot with him, they don't work together well at all, and she ends up going through this weird, crazy fit where she ends up leaving, and he just doesn't seem like the hero type of character. You know, though, that as the series is going to go on, he is going to become incredibly more confident. The person he's going to be teamed up with, the female lead of the series, 02, is completely different. She is this pink-haired girl with red horns on her head because, well, she's half klaxosaur. Half weird monster that they fight in this episode right here, which is really strange. You just have to accept that there are humans in this world which are half monster, and that makes them very special and very powerful. The reason she's so special is that when she actually teams up with other males to pilot the robot, she quite literally ends up devouring them, and they have no opportunity to work together with her anymore. She needs to find someone who's completely compatible, and they go with someone who has a completely different personality like Hiro. He actually meets her in this episode when he finds her swimming in a lake completely naked, which is basically a great excuse for lots of fan service and some very convenient censorship with the hair covering up the nips there. It's pretty classic anime, to be perfectly honest. He gets all super nervous. I'm surprised he didn't get a freaking bleeding nose or something. It's ridiculous. But it's in this moment that they come really close together. And by the end of the episode, their base, or wherever the heck they are, their academy, is being attacked by this giant robotic dinosaur with a massive tail that looks like Zekrom from Pokemon, and then he just starts destroying everything. She goes out in the robot, which is in the shape of a giant lion. Like I said, you gotta accept this stuff. It's just anime. And then eventually she does meet up with Hiro conveniently. They get together on the robot. They kiss each other, which brings them together even stronger. They transform into this big robot form, and they bring the heat. This is when things just get crazy, over the top in that Trigger way, with lots of really great animation, while still not completely blowing me away. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in the rundown of this episode. But it basically all ends with these two characters just flooring everyone. All the other Academy students and pairs are just amazed at the spectacle that they actually just ended up seeing, ending the very first episode of Darling in the Franxx. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Darling in the Franxx? A series that I was really pumped for, and in many ways it lived up to some expectations, and in others, I'm kind of like, it's okay. It's definitely not Studio Trigger's best or anything, but, you know, it's good stuff. It could evolve into something really insane, and I really do see that for the future of the show. What I will say is, of the Studio Trigger shows that I've seen, I think this has, aside from 02 and that weird scientist with the metal portions all over his face, maybe some of the most boring character design that I've seen from a Studio Trigger show. I hate to say that, but there's just really nothing all that distinctive about some of these characters. I mean, maybe they'll evolve as the series goes on, but for what it is right now, I'm kind of disappointed in them. I mean, Hiro looks like any other protagonist that you would see in just about any other anime series. There's really nothing special about him quite yet. Maybe more as the series goes on. Like I said, 02 is kind of the only one that really saves it, with her really poppy pink hair and her red horns, which are just, like I said, very distinctive, although very similar to a lot of other anime series that I've ever seen. Just like Gurren Lagann, which was also done by some Gainax people who went to go on to Studio Trigger. They love sort of taking the mecha genre and sort of reconstructing it, having fun with it, as well as also paying homage to it in many ways. So a lot of these things in this episode are going to seem very familiar to anime fans, but like I said, it's just the first episode of the series. They firmly have to establish the world, the characters, and then we can finally move on to this story, which I have no clue of where it's going. Like I said, it's your typical anime fare at the beginning, too, with all the philosophical stuff about the birds and leaning on one another and blah, 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 blah. Flightless bird can't go anywhere. It's just, it's all just kind of heavy-handed the way it is actually handled. I don't know. Just that's just the feeling I get from it. Like I said, I got more enjoyment out of like the first episodes of Kill la Kill and Little Witch Academia than I did of this one. But I'm willing to see more. What I will say is the first episode is still really high-quality caliber stuff, so it's worth checking out at least once just to see the overall spectacle and to see if you get attached to the characters and the overall crazy premise of Darling in the Franxx. I don't like the title of the series, though. I don't know what it is. I'm not really feeling the title of this show at all, but I am willing to check out more of it. Studio Trigger, like I said, has a great track record. So, giving this one a 4 out of 5. Check it out, guys. If you did watch the first episode of Darling in the Franxx, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below, and what you hope to see from the rest of the series, or if you're not really gelling with it at all. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more anime reviews. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. It's super easy to do. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay damn there, baby.